Okay, we're going to go with our third component, but before we do, I would like to ask Pastor Keith Anderson, pastor of Upper Dublin Lutheran Church, and Mr. Robert Fisher, assistant to the Bishop for Communication and Mission Interpretation, to come forward. And I'd like to do a little commercial here. Pastor Anderson's new book just came out this week, did it? Yes? It's called The Digital Cathedral, and it's a lot about what we're trying to do in this 21st century church. And Pastor Anderson signed my copy, which I paid for. And you can find it on Amazon. Just look, Keith Anderson, The Digital Cathedral.
Thank you so much, Bishop. Thank you. You're going to get a percentage of every sale from now to the end of the week.
Forward together in faith, we'll get it.
Okay, perfect. Bob Fisher and I are here to talk about the communications portion of our campaign. And to do that, to get started, we're going to throw it back to Dan on the street to hear what people think and know about Lutherans.
What comes to mind when you think of the word Lutheran? 4-part harmony, free coffee, really cool pastors? Well, maybe all those things and many, many others. But it's an easy question for you because, you know, you're Lutheran. But in all my years of traveling around the country, I've learned one thing, and that's not everybody is a Lutheran. So what do people think of us and our church? What do people think when they hear the word Lutheran? Well, in today's edition of Dan on the Street, that's what we set out to find out. What do you think of when you hear the word Lutheran?
Someone who's committed to faith, to something bigger than themselves.
Well, they always seem to be sitting in the back of the church.
Martin Luther.
Church, religion.
They really have a lot they could offer to the general public, and I don't think they're out there like the Catholic, maybe like the Methodist in the lower income neighborhood.
I don't know about Lutheran, but I just know Jesus Christ. He's my Lord and Savior. I know that.
Well, I mean, nothing neutral, nothing bad, nothing. I mean, not Lutheran myself, so I don't know much about it.
I know they're very big in outreach. One of the most noticeable outreach programs in our community is the Lutheran Church. They do a feeding program, and you can literally see consistency. I mean, I've been there for 6 years, and week in and week out, they're there every Friday giving out food, and people are lining up, and people know that they're there. Potlucks.
But the last time I was really involved with Lutheran Church was when 30 years ago, I had a Lutheran girlfriend I went to church with on Christmas Eve, everything. It was good.
Para mí es muy bueno para todas las personas.
Christian, Martin Luther, I don't know, I'm Jewish, so, you know, I'm not supportive. Write a note on the door, that's about all I got.
Just being kind and treating people like you'd want to be treated.
Garrison Keeler.
Protestant, possibly close to Catholic. I'm Presbyterian, so it's a lot more on that spectrum.
I don't know much about Lutherans, but Bishop Clare is really cool.
He thinks I'm Jewish.
How much did you pay him?
So as you know, communications is a huge challenge for the church at the outset of the 21st century in our ministry. I mean, there are a couple of huge challenges. One is that there are so many more ways to communicate now than ever before. So many different channels and social media platforms and devices, and figuring out how we use those to the best of our ability to share the gospel. But one of the challenges, too, is that fewer people know what the church is about, what being Lutheran is about, what God is about. You know, I came from the New England Synod, where I pastored a church just north of Boston for almost 9 years, and there are a lot fewer Lutherans, a much smaller cultural footprint in New England. And so you would tell people, yeah, I'm a Lutheran pastor, and they would look at you and say, do you mean Lithuanian? I said, no, a Lutheran church. They said, is that Christian? Is that Protestant? And so culturally, there's a greater distance between what people know and their engagement in church life and faith than there's ever been. And so we need to try to bridge that gap. You know, the church has been used to speaking and expecting people to listen and having them listen and respond. But now it's time where we can't take that for granted anymore. And we have to stop telling people, and we have to start listening to people. How are they making meaning? How are they encountering God in their daily lives? And how do we engage with that on all of these different platforms in all of these different ways?
Thanks, Keith. It's really not very often I get to stand on the stage with a published author, so I'm really impressed. So I've been in this field for, well, let's just say a couple of decades, and all along we've been bringing in new technologies. I remember when we got rid of typewriters and remember typewriters? Anybody? And we got word processors, and then we had digital typesetting, and then we had text-based gophers, and we had all kinds of ways of communicating. And this change just keeps going. I don't know if any of you have seen a television commercial that's on right now. It's for Adobe, I think. But there's two hipster guys in the front of an elevator, and they're talking to each other, and behind them are two kind of, well, I'll consider them younger business executives, very kind of straight-laced. So these guys are texting away on their phone saying, "Hey, man, you on Woohoo?" And the other guy says, "Yeah, everybody's on Woohoo." So they get off, and the businessmen run off and start rallying everybody in their company and devoting all kinds of money to buying followers and getting posts on Woohoo. And the last scene is the same two guys in the elevator. One says, "Hey, man, you still on Woohoo?" He says, "Nah, my mother's on Woohoo." It's changing faster than it ever has. We have 6 generations living, and everybody communicates in really different ways, and they're changing all the time.
Bob, I'm filming you on Periscope right now. You are live to the world.
Cool. Hello,
Twitter
world.
followers are checking you out.
See, one of the things now is the church, as well as politicians and other people, are never off camera as long as there's a phone around. So remember that.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's 3 real important lessons from that commercial. One is we have to be paying attention. Keith mentioned listening. One of the best lessons I ever got in communications was that you start with listening. You have to know who your audience is, what their needs are, because otherwise what you want to tell them really doesn't mean much to them. Second, we have to be willing to adopt new things. Sometimes we're going to make mistakes, especially in this environment that we're in, but we have to be willing to try. And we have to be willing to accept that things change. Everything we invest in won't last. Anybody remember CompuServe? Friendster? MySpace? So anyway, the fact is that communications is really necessary, and it's very hard to keep up, which is why so many corporations and nonprofits spend so much money on communications. But it's very hard to get through the noise. So if I can go to the PowerPoint, and let's see if this works this time. Okay, question for you. Who thinks Facebook usage is growing?
One person in the back. 3 people.
All right. Very good. Very good. The answer actually is it depends. For younger people, it's going down rather precipitously. For older folks, especially the 55-plus group, who there might be 1 or 2 of us in this room, are seeing rather large adoption. So platforms are not forever, and they're not for everyone. So another question for you. Oh, this is the reaction of the younger generations about Facebook. So if you post on your Facebook page, how many people see it? How many of your likes see it? What do you think? Less than 5, I hear. Any? I see a 10 in the back. Different surveys put it between 5 and 10. I saw 6 in an article in Time not too long ago. Not a lot. Did I go the wrong direction? That's the wrong. You're right. This is the wrong question here. The question is, how many people open your emails when you send them out by constant contact or even from your office? 33%, that's a good number. The average is actually 22% for religious organizations. We've got about 33. If you've got more than 22, you're doing really, really well. So that's a great thing. So the point is, in terms of communications, we're traveling in an asteroid field. We know we're going somewhere. We know things are coming at us. Everything's moving at the same time. And we've got lots of channels.
All right, I'm going to need your help with this. We are going to look at the percentages, if we could look on the PowerPoint, of how many people use some of the major social media platforms. So if you're on Facebook, stand up. Yeah, right now.
Facebook right now.
Stand it. All right. So Pew Research tells us that 71% of Americans are online adults are on Facebook. That's 56% of the entire U.S. population. I think we're tracking ahead of that here. Okay, sit down. This is your aerobic workout for the day. LinkedIn, the business social networking site. How many people are on LinkedIn? Fewer, but a good number. That's 28%. Pretty big drop-off, but there are a lot of people on LinkedIn that aren't allowed to be on other social networks because of their jobs. Next one, Pinterest. How many people are on Pinterest? Stand up. This is just like church, isn't it? Stand up, sit down. All right. Percentage on Pinterest, 28%. Yes. Okay. And finally, Instagram. How many people are on Instagram? All right. Okay, fewer. That's our smallest. 26%. 26%. Sit down. I think we have a couple more. Twitter. How many of you are on Twitter? That's still a pretty good number. The national number is 23% of people are on Twitter. So some of these newer platforms are even exceeding Twitter, though it's older. Yeah. So how many of you are on 2 or more of these digital networks? Stand up if you're on 2 or more social networks. Good. The national average, 52% of people are on 2 or more digital social networks, and that number is up 10% over the last year. So people are becoming more sophisticated in these technologies, and they're branching out a little bit into other platforms. And it's important to say that these platforms are important. They're not just tools to use, but they're places to be. Just like we talk about, we want to be where people are, if it's in the pub or the coffee shop or prison, in the community. We want to be where people are. And where people are is on these digital social networks, just like you are. This is where we meet people and have the opportunity to share our faith and share the gospel. So a final question for you. How many of you have shared your faith online in one way or another? If you shared your faith online, stand up. Very good. So Pew Research tells us 20% of Americans have shared their faith online. So you're doing much better than the average. And 46% of people have seen somebody else share their faith online, which is a pretty remarkable number. So these are spaces where we can connect with people and gather and share the gospel for the sake of the world. Now, the Synod in this campaign and their ongoing work wants to help support you in understanding these technologies and how they work, and help you to tell your stories. So we saw some of that earlier in photos and videos. You know, they ran a video about our God on Tap, and it was just it was really moving for me to see them tell that story in a way through the images and the interviews that they did. And we want to get better at sharing our stories. So have the Synod help to tell our stories, but how can we do that as well, to tell our stories in ways that really connect with where people are? And I saw a number of you were using the Assembly app. You know, we've gone, in my time at Synod Assemblies, from getting that binder of paper that's like that thick when you come in with your registration, to being able to carry everything around on our app, on our phone or our devices. And that's how we're living our lives, with our GPS, our music, our email, our pictures are all right here on our devices that we carry around, and we can connect with each other as well. The Synod's been building a communications network of people in congregations to help equip them in their congregations to help tell their stories. And so as part of this campaign, we want to help continue to equip and teach and train and mentor people to help you listen to the people that you're connected to in your digital and local neighborhoods, in your churches, and also to tell your stories about where your faith and your life intersect.
Well, this is where you come in, because we do want to help you. It's not just the vision for Synod Communications. If we're going to be successful in spreading the gospel message, we all have to be part of this event, telling our stories. Now, some of you are pretty good at telling your stories. There are a couple of examples running behind me on the screen. The interesting thing about these social network interactive channels that we're seeing is that you don't have to necessarily connect with an institution. People connect with each other. How many of you have connected with other fans of a brand you're part of? Good, a few. This kind of marketing of connection, marketing is a bad word, but really it just means that we're letting people know of opportunities that could affect their lives. And there's all these opportunities to share our faith in circles that the church doesn't connect to. People who don't walk into the building on Sunday are not going to follow the church Facebook page, but they know you. And so part of what we need to do too is help you, not just as congregations, but as individuals in the pews, to do that faith-sharing piece and to use technology to do that. And we have to do this together, because it's not just something that we can do from the central office or you can do from your church office. There's too much to know about communications. It's changing too fast. None of us, not even me, know it all. But there are, what? But there are people out there who know the answers. And we've done a little bit of that sharing and helping with each other on our Facebook group and in gatherings. And we really want to network people more. So I will encourage you, when you go out to the Mission Center, stop by the communications table and let the nice person there know that who your communicators are, who we should be in touch with. And if nobody's at the table at the time, see me at the back and give me that information, because we want to help plug people together. That's the start of the network. And now I'm going to call on our friend Jeff, who's going to tell us about the wonderful prizes that are in the box or behind door number 3, perhaps.
Bad news. The money that was set aside for this award was spent paying that guy to say what he said. Now we recovered it. That nice guy. Sidebar, you watched the video, the first, about God on Tap. Did you hear that woman who was interviewed, how she found out about it? What was it? Meetup, which is an app that you obviously use, and it's another way to connect out into the world. So these are the things that this component is dealing with. So the, well, review. How many entrees do you get? 1. And when do you get to make those entrees? Later. Okay, later, like after, during that supper and forum hour. And this one, I have on my staff a woman who is a national in her communication. She had a national organization called Seraphim that did all kinds of work with churches and faith-based organizations doing communications, marketing, branding strategies. And so we are going to bring to bear for this area. The winner of this, the drawer of this, will get a full-blown communications assessment of your congregation and how you are trying to communicate, including an online analysis with an actual strategy for you to use to follow up with for both your internal communications and online. So that's number 3.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
you.